If you're watching this video, you're probably trying to figure out how to make all of this hybrid stuff work. Many companies are shifting to a hybrid approach, but how do you actually make it work without falling into the common pitfalls that there are a lot, by the way, that are presented in the last couple of years since COVID started? In this video, I want to be able to break down the best practices and things to watch out for so that you don't screw up on implementing your hybrid deployment. Let's get into it. Oh, and by the way, my name is Liam Martin. I have been the co-founder of timedoctor.com and runningremote.com, so I know a thing or two about remote work. Let's get into it. So, best practice number one, clear communication and policies. First, clear communication and policies are essential. Establishing guidelines for remote and in-office days, communication expectations, and availability, it's all really important stuff. This helps avoid confusion and ensuring everyone is on the same exact page. Companies like Google and Apple have detailed hybrid work policies that clearly outline expectations. If you want to actually implement this yourself, what I would specifically think that you want to be able to work on is, number one, identifying which days people are going to be hybrid and which days people are going to be in the office. So is anyone able to go into the office? Is it essentially a completely volunteer, flexible schedule? Or are there specific days where everyone must be in the office? If you're going to go the latter route, what I would suggest that you do is not choose Mondays and Fridays, because then people just extend their weekends. What I would suggest that you do is do a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, completely remote, and Mondays and Fridays as your anchor days, meaning you meet on Mondays to talk about what you're going to do, and then you come in on Friday to actually tell people what you did based off of that Monday meeting. And I think that's a really good cadence. And then also, if you're thinking about actually changing it up a little bit and having a bunch of different people come in at different times, that also can be quite valuable to be able to reduce your overall footprint. So you might have one department come in on Mondays, another department come in on Tuesdays, Wednesdays. I think you get it. And then you can actually move to a much smaller footprint or to a co-working space, which I think actually are going to have a massive resurgence in the next couple of years. Next up, you need to be able to invest in the right technology and tools. From video conferencing software like Zoom to project management tools like Trello or Asana, having the right tech stack is crucial for seamless hybrid work experiences. This keeps everyone connected and ensures that remote employees aren't left out of the loop. In the context of Time Doctor, we specifically implement all of those tools and we make sure that everything is documented inside of them. Inside of hybrid organizations, it's really easy to be able to leave out undocumented information, a conversation that you might have just had with someone in the office, and then that undocumented information is something that people take action on without the actual remote employees that may have not been in the room that couldn't get access to that information in the first place. And it's really important to be able to make sure that everyone is kept in the loop. So documentation is even more critical in hybrid teams than it is in all remote teams. But in all remote teams, it's actually inevitable because everyone has to document things inside of a remote organization, whereas hybrid, you can get away with a lot of that stuff much easier. So document everything. Next up, you want to be able to foster an inclusive culture. It's, in my opinion, another key practice that most successful hybrid teams have implemented. You need to ensure remote and in-office employees feel equally valued. And this can be achieved through regular team building activities, inclusive meetings, and ensuring that remote employees have equal access to opportunities. A Harvard Business Review article highlights that inclusive cultures lead to higher employee engagement and satisfaction. And I'll give you a perfect example of something that I talk about a lot in the Running Remote book, talking about the difference between in-office conversations and remote work conversations. So let's say we have 3 team members that are remote and 3 team members that are in an office. We all decide that we're going to work on A, the 3 remote team members drop off of their Zoom, and then the 3 remaining that are in the actual office say, hey, you know what? I don't think we should be doing A. I think we should be doing B. The next morning, those 3 remote workers had no idea what was going on, and they thought that they were working on A, when in reality, they actually completely switched to be. So if you're a manager inside a remote organization or a hybrid organization, it's really important to be able to give more attention to your remote workers than your in-office workers so that everyone is on the same footing. Next, let's talk about the principle of trust but verify. In a hybrid work model, it's crucial to trust your employees to manage their own schedules and deliver results, but it's equally important to have systems in place to actually verify that work is being done effectively. This doesn't mean micromanaging, but rather implementing tools and practices that provide visibility into team performance. You can implement something like performance metrics. So use clear data, data-driven performance metrics, and tracking progress and outcomes as it applies to these types of systems. This helps in evaluating employee performance, and it's pretty fair and objective because when you're actually only focusing on the outcomes, it's not how you deliver that outcome, whether or not Johnny is really fun in the office, it's whether or not Johnny has actually performed. Also, you need to be able to implement things like regular check-ins. Schedule regular one-on-one check-ins and team meetings to discuss progress, address issues, and provide support. And I think provide support is the most important one rather than specifically addressing the issues, because a lot of those things should actually be solved by your project management system. And what you really want to be able to do is not necessarily be a manager, but a leader. So focusing on supporting that particular worker, figuring out how you can unlock holes or gaps inside of their work focus is absolutely critical in order for them to actually be long-term successful team members inside of your organization. And then the way that you implement that is through tools like Asana, Trello, Jira. You want to be able to keep track of tasks, deadlines, project statuses, and these tools offer transparency and help everyone stay aligned with team goals. And also, you need to be able to create continuous feedback loops where employees can actually share their progress, challenges, and suggestions. This promotes a culture of trust and accountability while ensuring that everyone is moving in the right direction. By balancing trust with verification, you can create a productive and accountable hybrid work environment that is not only taking the considerations of the employee into account, but also the company and the employer as well. Now let's get into some of the pitfalls, which are the ones that I really love to be able to talk about because I've probably almost done all of them. First off, I want to be able to make sure that everyone avoids creating a divide between remote and in-office employees in terms of career advancement and access to resources. You want to be able to ensure that all employees have equal access to training, promotions, and leadership opportunities. LinkedIn Workforce Confidence Index suggests that equitable access to opportunities is crucial for employee satisfaction and retention. And the way that you can do this is if you have an HRIS tool, we use something like Bamboo, but ADP Workforce, Visier, a bunch of other products in that particular space, you can actually see which team members end up moving up in the organization and then just tag them by whether or not they're remote or whether they're hybrid. And if that number is not equal, if there's no statistical difference between those two groups, you're doing a fantastic job. If there is, there's a big problem and you need to be able to solve it immediately. Another common pitfall is communication breakdowns. Hybrid teams can suffer from miscommunication if there's no clear strategy in place. Implementing regular check-ins, using collaborative tools, and fostering an open communication culture is critical. Slack and Microsoft Teams are great for keeping everyone connected and on the same page, but remember, you need to be able to also take into consideration asynchronous management to be able to make sure that everyone can actually engage with that information on their own terms. The worst thing that you can possibly do is distract your workers from working. And a lot of managers end up actually continuously acting for check-ins and one-on-ones when in reality, nothing is wrong. So if they're really happy and they're excited about working inside of the organization, keep them working and ask them how they want to be able to interact inside of the organization as opposed to you dictating how you should be interacting with them. Lastly, everyone needs to be mindful of overworking and burnout. It's easy for remote workers to blur the lines between remote and personal life. You need to be able to encourage regular breaks, set clear work hours, and promote a healthy work-life balance. The World Health Organization emphasizes that preventing burnout is critical for maintaining productivity and employee well-being. And in my opinion, when I've taken a look at all of the things that we've had inside of our organization, the biggest factor connecting to whether or not someone is going to quit their job is burnout. Specifically, that's actually people that left the organization that we wish had stayed in the organization. So it's critical that you're managing burnout properly. And we have a lot of tools inside of Time Doctor specifically to be able to help with that. But there's a bunch of HRIS tools as well that you can kind of check out that apply to that same thing as well. So there you have it. Best practices and pitfalls to avoid when implementing a hybrid work model. Clear communication, the right technology, an inclusive culture, and the principle of trust but verify are key to success. Avoiding inequitable access to opportunities, communication breakdowns, and burnout will help you create a thriving remote work model environment. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments down below. Let's keep this conversation going so that even if you completely disagree with me, I'd love to be able to hear it down below. And don't forget to hit that bell icon for more content on building successful remote organizations, because every single time that I say that, twice as many people subscribe to this channel than if I don't. I'll see you in the next one.